Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
It's our TOEIC unit for this edition of our magazine. And, of course, now it's winter time, and you might be feeling low because of the dark weather, because daylight is shorter during the winter. And also sometimes during the winter, the weather can be kind of cold and cloudy and rainy and gloomy and depressing.
We don't get enough sunshine in Taipei, that's for sure.
In Taipei, that's the case. Of course, if you live in Taichung and Kaohsiung, oh my goodness, the sun is out every day and everybody's so happy down there. But you might be getting the winter blues if you live up here in the north. And this is also the case for people who live very far north, perhaps in Beijing or in Korea or Canada or Alaska or Norway or whatever. Of course, during the winter, days are very short, so they may be suffering from this problem that we're going to talk about, which is called SAD, which will be mentioned in our conversation. So let's begin our lesson today by listening to a conversation between a patient and a doctor, and the patient seems to be suffering from this affliction. So let's listen, and we'll be right back. Doctor, I've been feeling quite overwhelmed recently, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to get through the day.
I'm sorry to hear that. Could you elaborate on what you mean by overwhelmed? What specific symptoms have you been experiencing?
Well, I feel constantly drained both physically and mentally. No matter how much I sleep, I wake up feeling exhausted. And emotionally, I've been feeling really low, almost hopeless at times.
That sounds challenging. How long have these feelings persisted? And have you noticed any changes in your eating or sleeping patterns?
It's been going on for several weeks now. My appetite has definitely increased. I've been craving comfort foods, especially sugary and starchy ones. As for sleep, I'm sleeping longer, but it doesn't seem to make a difference.
I see. Besides fatigue and changes in your appetite, have you noticed a decline in your ability to concentrate or any withdrawal from activities you usually enjoy?
Absolutely. I've lost interest in pretty much everything, and I've been isolating myself. Even spending time with close friends feels like a burden.
Based on your symptoms, it sounds like you might be experiencing seasonal affective disorder or winter depression. It's a common condition characterized by low mood, decreased energy, and changes in appetite. Treatment options include light therapy, medication, and lifestyle changes. We can discuss these in more detail and find the best approach for you.
Okay, everybody, it's time for us to discuss the contents of our conversation for today. We're asking the question, feeling low? Are you feeling low? Are you feeling sad? Are you kind of depressed? Well, it could be seasonal. It could have to do with the seasons. Of course, seasonal does have to do with the seasons. For example, mangoes in Taiwan are seasonal. You can only buy them during the summer. They're not available during the winter. I love mangoes, but of course you have to wait for the summer to eat them. And, of course, this particular problem of feeling low could be seasonal. It could only happen during the winter.
One seasonal vegetable that I love that you could only get in the winter is spinach. I love spinach. And I found out one time going shopping years ago here that it was only sold in the winter. And I went, what?
Oh, no.
Because we can get it all year round in the States. That doesn't mean it's good for you. I love that Taiwan sells fruits and vegetables in the correct season, which is healthier for our body. But yeah, seasonal changes in our mood, how we're feeling about life can happen. Just because we're not getting enough light. Light is really important to our bodies and to our emotions in particular, whether we're happy or not.
To generate vitamin D and stuff like that.
Yep.
It's all part of a chemical process. But here the patient begins the conversation and says, Doctor, I've been feeling quite overwhelmed recently, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to get through the day. Now, if you're overwhelmed, that just means there are too many things in life that you need to think about. You're being crushed by all these things. Oh, gee, I have to worry about my job. I have to worry about my kids, or my wife is sick. My mother has to go to the hospital. I can't find a parking space. My insurance on the car is due. We haven't paid the phone bill, blah, blah, blah. You just feel overwhelmed. There's just too much going on. And maybe he also feels kind of depressed because of these things. And because of these things, it's getting more and more difficult to get through the day. It's more and more difficult to function on a daily basis.
The doctor tries to sympathize. She says, I'm sorry to hear that. Could you elaborate on what you mean by overwhelmed? I think Tom just gave lots of examples of someone feeling overwhelmed by life. They have so many things that are weighing them down, that are coming at them. They feel like they can't really manage all of the pressures and all of the stress on them. To elaborate just means to give more detail. Remember, elaborate, the verb, is different than the adjective elaborate. If something's elaborate, it's very fancy, it's got lots of detail in it. But here, elaborate, and the fa-ing is different, guys. Remember, elaborate is the verb. It just means, give me some more detail about what's going on.
Yeah, be more specific. Please elaborate on what you mean by overwhelmed, because that word could have many different definitions. It means something different to different people. And what specific symptoms have you been experiencing? So, of course, if you're a doctor and you're trying to diagnose an illness, you look for the symptoms or the signs of a disease. There might be various symptoms you have, like being very thirsty at night, having to pee a lot at night. That could be a symptom of diabetes, for example. You better have that checked out. And so she's asking him about his symptoms. Yeah, what exactly is happening to you? What sorts of unusual things have you noticed in your daily life about your person?
Well, the patient goes on to explain how he feels constantly drained. If you feel drained, you have no energy inside. Think of a bathtub. You take a bath, you fill up the bathtub, and then you let the water out of the tub. It drains out of the tub until there's no water left. It's like having a lot of energy, and as you use it and you're busy and you're just go, go, go all day long, suddenly your energy levels are nothing. And so when you feel really tired or just lethargic, very stressed out, you'll often hear people say, I feel drained. Drained. We use that a lot, so you should learn that phrase. Both physically and mentally, you can feel drained emotionally. If you have a death in the family, it's so hard on you emotionally that can affect you as well. You can feel drained in so many ways. He says, no matter how much I sleep, I wake up feeling exhausted. Oh, I understand that feeling. Exhausted just means you have absolutely no energy. You're so tired, you just want to go back to bed.
Right, that's how you feel. If something makes you feel that way, we describe it as exhausting. This job is exhausting, so therefore I feel exhausted. I feel really tired. I don't have any energy left. I feel drained. And emotionally, having to do with my emotions, happy, sad, excited, etc., I've been feeling really low, almost hopeless at times. So if you feel low, you feel kind of depressed, you don't feel really happy about things. The opposite would be high, I suppose, but if you feel high, that could mean that you are happy. Indeed, it could also mean that you've smoked marijuana. That's a slang term. Oh, I got high last night with my buddies. But in this particular case, he's feeling low, he's feeling depressed, he's just not very happy.
I would like to caution our listeners not to use that phrase, I feel high, Tom, ever.
Yeah, it could be misinterpreted to mean that you are smoking the dreaded Dama.
Well, it just means you're on drugs. Be careful. I hear it a lot in English because, you like to say, you feel 很高兴 or, whatever, but we don't say high. We just say I feel very optimistic. I feel so happy. I'm enthusiastic.
I'm on top of the world.
Yeah, but don't say you feel high. I wanted to make sure that was clear. But you can say you feel low. You feel blue. I'm just down in the dumps. You feel pretty bad. So the doctor understands and says, again, with a lot of sympathy, that sounds challenging. How do you overcome that? How long have these feelings persisted? To persist means to continue on. It can be a good thing if someone is described as being persistent. It means they don't give up. They're very determined. So if they have a goal, they just keep working at it no matter what happens. But if bad feelings persist, they continue on, and you definitely don't want that.
Right. Maybe you have a salesman at your door and they just won't give up, and you can say, well, I'm going to call the police if you persist. If you keep persisting, I'm going to call the police. And yes, indeed, how long have these feelings lasted? How long have you had these feelings? And have you noticed any changes in your eating or sleeping patterns? So again, the doctor's looking for symptoms. Yes, have you eaten more? Have you lost your appetite? Or maybe your appetite has increased. Maybe you're eating more. You're eating too much chocolate or something like that.
Eating bad food.
Right, that's usually what happens. And of course, your sleeping patterns, he did say that he feels exhausted when he wakes up. But yeah, how many hours a night of sleep are you getting? Are you sleeping regularly? Are you getting less sleep or more sleep? Yeah. Tell me about any changes in your sleeping patterns. Well, the patient says, well, it's been going on for several weeks now. It's been happening for several weeks, maybe 5 or 6 weeks or so. My appetite has definitely increased. I've been craving comfort foods, especially sugary and starchy ones. So yes, his appetite, his desire to eat has increased. He's hungrier and hungrier, and he's craving comfort foods. If you crave something, you really want that thing. I often crave certain kinds of food sometimes during the day. I know you have cravings for American junk food. You're ordering it all the time online. You love your American junk food. And yes, here he's craving comfort foods like sugary ones, which would be sweets that you buy in a convenience store, candy bars or whatever. And there are also starchy ones that contain a lot of starch, a lot of carbohydrates, and that's not good.
Yeah, starchy foods would include a lot of bread, a lot of noodles. Those things aren't always good for you either. You have to eat things in moderation. Don't eat too much of one thing. Sugar is always bad for you. If you can get away from that, you're going to feel better. But comfort foods don't have to be fast food or even junk food. Comfort foods are foods that probably have a few more calories than maybe you want to put into your body. But they're foods like mashed potatoes. For Americans, it would be mashed potatoes, gravy, chicken, fried chicken, things like that. And they could be homemade, which are usually more healthy than buying on the street. But it just makes you feel better, makes you feel like someone's giving you a big hug if you're eating your comfort foods. The doctor again says, I see. She's very sympathetic. So, and sleeping, as far as sleeping goes, the patient says he's sleeping longer. Sometimes when you're really depressed, all you want to do is just stay in bed. You don't have any energy. You feel like there's no hope. And a lot of people spend too much time sleeping, which actually makes the problem worse. So if you see a friend or a family member who just wants to go to bed all the time, just wants to sleep, you should probably be aware that they're probably going through some struggles. So make sure they're okay and they're not just being lazy. Could be that they're tired, but be careful with that. What does the doctor say, Tom, about fatigue?
Yeah, besides fatigue, or in addition to feeling really tired and in addition to having changes in your appetite, have you noticed a decline in your ability to concentrate, or have you noticed any withdrawal from activities you usually enjoy? So yes, are you losing the ability to concentrate? Do you make mistakes at work, for example? And do you withdraw or just pull yourself away from activities that you usually enjoy, like maybe going swimming, playing basketball with your buddies, or going out with a camera club and taking pictures of wild birds or something like that? Yes, are you withdrawing from those activities? You're just not participating anymore. Yeah, do you have this happening to you? Are you less able to concentrate, and are you less active in your social activities?
I think that's a big signal. If I haven't heard from a friend for a long time, I'll get in touch just to see that they're okay. Because usually when friends or family members stop wanting to socialize, they usually are struggling with something. If you're down or depressed, you don't want to be around other people. You just want to be alone, which makes it worse. So that's also something you have to be on the lookout for. Have you noticed a decline in your ability to concentrate? When you're down and depressed, it's hard to focus, too. It's very hard. Or are you, as Tom described, withdrawing or separating yourselves from activities that you used to really enjoy in the past? That's a big deal. So the patient says, absolutely, yes, I'm experiencing all of these things. I've lost interest in pretty much everything. And I've been isolating myself. If you're isolating yourself, you're separating yourself from other people because you don't feel like chatting, you don't feel like laughing. Everybody else seems to be in a good mood, but you're not. You feel down, and so you tend to just go off by yourself. The patient says, even spending time with close friends feels like a burden.
Ooh.
Oh, that's a tough position to be in. If you're feeling like that, reach out for some help even though you don't feel like it. Hopefully, you've got some people around you that are noticing these changes in you and can reach out and help you before you reach out to them even.
Indeed, and the doctor is going to make a conclusion here. She says, based on your symptoms, after I've heard you describe your symptoms, it sounds like you might be experiencing seasonal affective disorder, or SAD for short, or winter depression. Now, depression, of course, is a feeling when you are sad all the time. We sometimes use the word depressed when you feel kind of sad, but also depression does refer to a clinical condition that is recognized by psychiatrists, and it needs to be treated accordingly. You might be suffering from depression, and of course, you lack all the desire to live and things like that. So she's describing this as winter depression. It could be just common depression as well. He seems to have all the symptoms there, but she does say it's a common condition characterized by these various conditions. Low mood, you're not feeling very happy. You have decreased energy. You feel fatigued all the time. And changes in appetite. You crave comfort foods, for example, or maybe you lose your appetite. I know when I'm feeling low or kind of depressed, I tend to lose my appetite, and those are the times when I lose weight. So sometimes I think, hey, a good way for me to lose weight is to get really depressed, but that's probably not a good solution.
I'm the opposite. If I don't feel happy, I eat more. If I'm happy, I don't.
Kind of depends on the person.
Yeah, it depends on the person. We're all so different, but yeah. I never base it on whether someone's gaining weight or losing weight. I just kind of, I need some more symptoms before I can figure out what's going on. Treatment for depression includes things like light therapy. We're talking about winter depression. I remember one winter, Tom, we went 10 days in Taipei with no sunshine.
Only 10 days?
And I grew up, well, zero. There was no break through the cloud. There was nothing, Tom. Because usually we'll get a day or a half a day with something. No sun. And I remember thinking, and I'd been here a long time. I'd been here years. And I remember thinking, no wonder people get winter depression. I'm a sunshine girl. I grew up in a state with a lot of sunshine in Arizona. And so not to have any sunshine for that long. And I started getting, it started making me a little crazy. So yeah, light therapy is when you go out and buy a piece of equipment, a device, and you sit in front of it and you just, the light shines on your face and it really does help. If you need really serious help, then you go to a doctor and they have light devices that are quite large that would be as long as your body.
That are specially designed for that. I do remember one winter where I was feeling very depressed because of the gray weather. I went into an appliance store and they had a section where they were selling lamps. And there were like 20 lamps all lit up at the same time.
Yeah.
I stood there for about 10 minutes, just soaked it all up because it felt so good to have some light there.
Did it help?
It may have. I think it did help me out a little bit. But in any case, yes, I think this is a problem that a lot of foreigners have who move to Taipei. They're not quite used to the gray weather in Taipei. And I think it also affects a lot of people from the south and center who move to Taipei.
Except for the Brits. The Brits are used to this.
True. It's always a gray and gloomy in London all the time because what is that? The current or something that comes from the
I don't know, but
sea.
it's always rainy and cloudy there.
I've never been there, but that's what I've heard. And so, yes, indeed, she says you've got treatment options. They include light therapy, medication, which is medicine, of course, and changes in your lifestyle to do different things. And we can discuss these in more detail and find the best approach for you. So it looks like the patient here is getting good treatment from the doctor, and that brings us to the end of our discussion about their conversation. Let's take a break now and listen to our Chinese teacher.
听众朋友大家好，我是安娜。我们今天开始2天的这个多益单元，要带大家看一个在冬天大家都会常常感觉到的，好像心情低落啦，没有元气啦，然后很累啊的这种状况哦。其实有可能是季节在作祟耶，因为我们今天要来谈一个所谓的季节性忧郁，或者是所谓的冬季忧郁症。我们今天 Day 1的病人跟医生的对话当中，我们就先来看一下。病人一开始他是说啦，哎呀，我最近感到不知所措，觉得越来越难熬过每一天，就觉得好像心情不好，很难承受这样。那这个时候呢，病人用的时态用现在完成式，因为我们在跟医生报告病情，或者是医生来询问我们病情的时候，常常都是因为不舒服一阵子了，对不对？不舒服一阵子到现在还是这样，所以才去看医生。所以我们会说最近如何如何，这几天来如何如何。那动作已经持续了一段时间，我们基本上就会用现在完成式。所以在第一个病人的对话当中，我们看到的 overwhelm， 这里用现在完成式 I've been feeling overwhelmed， 我一直感觉到 overwhelm。 这个 overwhelm 基本上就是不能承受的意思。承受什么呢？可能不能承受很多的工作，可能不能承受情绪上，反正总而言之就觉得好像很多事一直不生，中文的所谓的不生，有可能是感情上的工作都有可能。好，而且他越来越觉得不舒服。这个越来越中我们常会用 more and more， 我们学一个很好用的副词，下次你想要用 more and more 的时候，直接用一个单词，就是在第一个 patient 当中提到的 increasingly， 用 increasingly 来取代 more and more， 它就有越来越如何如何的意思。那医生就是会希望说病人能够 elaborate， 就是详细说一下到底是什么样的状况嘛。所以医生就会问他，在医生第一个医生的第3句 specific symptoms， 到底有什么样的特定的症状吗？很明确的症状吗？第二个病人就特别开始我们看一下，如果我们讲说我都很累， I've been feeling very tired， OK， 医生可以听得懂。那觉得很累的疲倦，我们还可以学另外一个字。第二个病人第一句当中 drained， 好像被榨干了， constantly 持续上的，我一直觉得就是很累，而且不管是身体啦或者是心理上， both physically and mentally， 身体上或者是精神上，那这种感觉就好像睡很久还是会觉得很累，然后有时候呢心情不好，觉得有点 hopeless， 在第二个病人最后一句倒数第3个字这个地方。所以这样子听起来好像真的有点异常所以第二个医生这个对话当中，医生就继续问啦，到底持续多久了？当然持续多久 how long 就会搭配现在完成式。所以在这里我们看到持续多久，第二个医生第二句这个地方。不过我们要特别抓出来的是感觉症状持续多久的这个动词。当然你可以用 last L-A-S-T， 但是我们现在看到的 persist 有时候会有那种很顽强顽固存在，无法消除的那种感觉。所以这些症状到底已经持续多久了呢？病人回答已经持续好几周啦。然后呢，这个回答了医生有关于饮食跟睡眠的模式，食欲是有增加，而且比较喜欢吃一些甜食啦，或者是淀粉类的东西，像冬天就觉得肚子饿啦，或者是心情不好压力大也会很想要吃甜食啦。在第3个病人的对话当中的第2句这个地方，在最后面 especially sugary and starchy ones， 这个淀粉类的食物还有甜的一些食物。那至于睡眠的部分，当我们讲话话锋一转想要谈别的人事物，想要谈别的主题的时候，有时候会讲至于什么什么，那有关什么什么，在英文当中可以用 as for something 或者是 as for someone， 就在下一句，也是第3个病人对话当中第3句这个地方 as for sleep， 那至于睡眠就睡很久， 睡很久好像还是 feel drained， 还是觉得很疲倦啊，即便是睡很久。那么接下来医生就特别要重复一下咯，基本上你就会觉得很疲劳，食欲也有一些改变。就在第三个 doctor 这边，我们就看到比较专业的字咯，比如说疲倦，第二句 besides fatigue 也是疲倦的意思， feeling drained feeling tired 也就是疲倦的意思。食欲的改变可以直接用 changes in one's appetite 食欲嘛。不过医生还有问到另外一个点，他必须要评估一下注意力有没有下降，或者是说平常喜欢做的事情是不是也不想去做了呢？医生是怎么问呢？医生用了一个关键词叫做 decline， 同样在这句话当中，对话的第三个医生第二句，这个 decline 本身是动名词，就有下降减少的意思。在 ability 能力上，什么能力呢？ to concentrate 专注的这种能力有没有 decline 有没有下降？这样子问好像就是很专业，对不对？医生才会直接点出这种 concentrate 的 ability 是不是有一个 decline 下降，甚至是有没有一些退缩的情况呢？后面的这个我们的这个挑出来的单字 withdrawal 就是所谓的往后退撤退，平常喜欢的做的事情现在是不是都不去做，这是很重要的事情，很重要的一个关键的诊断的指标。那最后病人就回答 absolutely， 哇，这个就是非常绝对是这样，因为他对所有事情几乎都失去兴趣，也开始孤立自己，甚至是跟亲密朋友相处也觉得也是一种负担呢。所以到最后医生就诊断了他得到了一种所谓的冬季忧郁症，季节性的忧郁。好，我们一定要看一下季节性忧郁要怎么说哦。最后面 doctor 这边提到的 seasonal affective disorder， 中间这里的 affective 抓出来，其实我们比较常背的那个名词叫做 affection， affection， 所谓的 affection 就是有关于情感方面，好，情感。那现在看到的是形容词，就是季节性的情感性的失调，或我们口语当中的 winter depression， 冬季的忧郁症。所以如果真的是这样，该怎么办才好呢？我们明天会再继续说明。我是安娜，我们明天见咯。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We're going to move on to our useful expressions. Here we've got seeking clarification. When you seek clarification, it just means you're trying to understand what someone's saying to you. Maybe it's not quite clear. To clarify means to clear something up. Oh, can you clarify what you just said for me? Maybe you're talking about a project at school or a business. I'm not quite sure what you mean here. Here's some phrases you can use.
Right. Here's the first one. Can you elaborate on the project details you were discussing earlier? So here, can you elaborate if you're in a meeting, for example, and you propose a project to your boss or something? The boss may ask you, well, can you give me more details? Can you elaborate who you're going to contact? Are you going to lease a space for our activity or whatever? Are you going to do some market research or whatever? Yeah, give me some details about the project. Okay, here's the second thing you might use if you want clarification. I didn't quite catch that. Could you repeat what you said about the meeting schedule? So sometimes when somebody says something that you didn't quite hear or you didn't understand, you could say, I didn't quite understand that. I didn't quite catch that. Could you say it again? Could you repeat what you said about the meeting schedule? I'm still kind of not clear exactly how the schedule is going to work.
Or, so just to clarify, you could use that phrase. So just to clarify, you're not quite sure what someone's talking about, or you didn't quite understand what they said. You could use that phrase. So just to clarify, you're suggesting that we need to spend more on online advertisements, correct? Or you could use, I beg your pardon, or I'm not quite sure what you mean, or I don't quite follow you. And that will give them the clue that they haven't been clear enough. It might not be you not understanding their English. It might be that their English really was kind of fuzzy and unclear. So don't always blame yourself. sometimes a person speaking the English, even native speakers, aren't clear in what they're trying to communicate.
Yeah, when I first started teaching English, people complained that I kind of muffled my words. I sort of talked fast and, put them all together. I later began to speak more clearly for the sake of my dear students. And here's our discussion question for today. The question is, how do you feel when the seasons change? Do you notice any differences in your mood or energy levels?
I love fall here. It's my favorite season. And I just feel great because it's not so hot. I hate it when it gets hot here. Now, you're the opposite, Tom. You love summer. Does summer make you feel happier?
Yes, indeed, because it's sunnier, although I don't necessarily like the heat. I don't like the cold. I like the cold less than the heat. So, yes, indeed, I do feel happy when summer is coming. And I do enjoy fall as well, especially when the summer heat kind of lets off and then it's kind of cool for a couple of months before it starts to get kind of gray and gloomy during the winter. And yes, indeed, I do feel kind of sad during the winter. And I try to go down to Taichung or places farther south on a regular basis during the winter to sort of recharge my batteries and feel happy again.
That's a really good idea. Guys, we're out of time. We hope you enjoyed that. We've got another day to kind of talk about how you can beat the winter blues. Tips for combating sad. We're going to talk about that. And we hope that you'll have another chance to check in with our YouTube account or even our Facebook page and see what's up there. You can learn some more English phrases. We know that you'll enjoy that. For English Digest, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tom. Goodbye.
Bye.